known to racing aficionados and car buffs alike simply as Monza. The Autodromo Nazionale Monza is among the most fabled motorsports racing circuits in the world. Constructed in Monza's Royal Villa Park in the early 1920s, the circuit has hosted the Italian Grand Prix Formula One race every year but one since the series' inception, and holds the record for the fastest and closest finishes, 153.842 miles per hour and 1800ths of a second, covering the top four drivers in Formula One history in 2003 and 71 respectively. While its storied history and proximity to Ferrari's headquarters in Maranello makes Monza the unchallenged home of the Italian Formula One racing team, the facility has played host to virtually every form of motorsports over the years, from prototypes to GT cars, touring cars, MotoGP, even superbikes. Monza even hosted the legendary Race of Two Worlds in 1957 and 1958, which pitted Indianapolis-style race cars against Formula One. Thus, breadth of Monza's roll call winners is unparalleled, from Tazio Nuvolari to Amedeo Ruggeri to Juan Manuel Fangio, Jimmy Bryan, John Surtees, Michael Schumacher, and Sebastian Vettel, who earned their first Formula One victory of his career in the 2008 Italian Grand Prix. Tonight, it's round one of the PFR Sports Car Championship, and it's next on HBR TV. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Monza. I'm Steve Singer with HBR TV, joined in the broadcast booth by Zach Millett. Zach, how you doing?
Hey, Steve. How's it going, man?
It's going well. Excited for this new sports car series that Kevin Blue has put together here, formerly the Lone Star Racing Sports Car Series, now PFR Sim Sports Sports Car Championship. Round one here at Monza, qualifying just about to get underway. Let's go down trackside to see where everybody's starting to shake out. I don't think anybody's really taken the time officially, but many drivers on track. Let's check on Terry Crouch first and foremost and see what he's got going on as far as his lap times are concerned. We'll take a look at practice results from early on. Speaking of Terry Crouch, not quite the fastest, but his TLDR SimSport teammate, Flo Doms, was fastest, 1:29.444. Terry Crouch about 25 hundredths of a second shy. Then Oleg Vorotniak, still trying to get the names. This is going to be a tough one tonight. Oleg was one that I was worried about. Let's see, Chris Gennarelli, that one's not too bad. I'm sure there's another one I'm going to butcher at some point tonight. Or I can just have Millett do it.
I don't think so. I'm having enough trouble with Chris Goans. Oh, heck of a field, though, tonight, Steve. I'm looking forward to the season getting started. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we got 30-plus sports cars if you tally up the LMP2 and GT3 categories. Terry Crouch goes P1, 1:28.986, a quick time. Again, you'll notice no first chicane in this particular race. Round one, they've opted to eliminate that first chicane rather than jam up the entire field on the green flag.
Yeah, it's funny, Steve. I think if I was driving, I'd love it this way, but sitting up here in the broadcast booth, I kind of miss it, not going to lie.
I don't know. I'm the type of driver, at least, that I like using the brakes. Mark Thomas might disagree if anybody watched the No Bull Can-Am Series race on Sunday night, but I like getting on the brakes. I feel that's kind of my strong suit. Yes, I'm not perfect, but so going down that big front straightaway and jumping into the chicane, I really enjoy that. It's a challenge. I'm not the greatest at getting out of the corners there, but it's still a fun part of the racetrack, and even now I kind of miss it. But I get why Kevin decided not to run it.
For some reason, all I could picture was Mark Thomas with his accent saying, "Too soon, Steve."
Terry Crouch top of the board in LMP2. We'll see if Flo can top that time. He was fastest in the practice session.
So they get 3 laps, right, Steve?
Yeah, it's a 3-lap. It's a lone qualifying system, not like they ran, I think, last season where all the cars were on the track at the same time. This way they've got an opportunity, A, to make a mistake, and B, to get out there and turn their laps without any slower traffic, especially in the GT category if you're an LMP2 driver. Doms did get one lap in already, 1:29.27. That was his fastest, and a little mistake there. Through Variante 2 and 3, decides he's going to go back to the pit lane and try again. Meanwhile, Corey Maxim in GT3, his Mercedes fastest, 1:38.833. Kevin Blue in the stream chat, because I didn't want everyone... Can't see it all because it's blocked by this emoji thing. Didn't want everyone in the field to crash in turn 1. We know why you did it, Kevin.
You did it out of love, Kevin. You understand.
I don't know. I like to say, man up. Don't wreck in the chicane. That's an order. So fast time in GT, Corey Maxim in 1:38.83 versus the 1:28.98 Terry Crouch is thrown up on the board here. So a 10-second delta between the LMP2s and GT. Honestly, it's a lot closer than I expected it to be, especially on a track with as much wide open throttle. The amount of corner speed the LMPs are able to carry through those corners. I would have expected that differential to be a little bit greater than 10 seconds, but I guess not.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking about the 15-second mark or more even. Kevin, this is iRacing we're talking about here.
Well, I still have a solution for that. Yeah, it is iRacing, but I'm pretty sure there was a fee to run this particular league, as so many leagues do now, especially if they're broadcasted. But you should make the rule that if you wreck in the chicane on lap 1, you're out for the season and you don't get a refund.
Oof.
They'd be lining up single file.
I was gonna say it'd be like a caution lap, wouldn't it?
Even under caution, I've seen guys wreck there.
Yeah.
So David Seitz, he's been fast, very successful in previous seasons here with, well, previously LSR, now PFR Sim Sports. He's 4th quick so far, but look at those times in the top 8. They're all within a second. That's impressive enough.
Yeah, it's gonna be tight running for that class. It's gonna be awesome to watch.
Kevin Blue, great idea. Next broadcast canceled due to low participation. All right, we'll talk about that next season. I just got to work it into the contract.
Right. Fine print.
Dave Seitz wraps up his time here, 4th quick. 39.52. Couple drivers not yet completing their 3 laps. Some opting just to go 2. Flo Doms was one of them. This is Ryan Flanagan in the 3. His lap, 1:31.46. Still about 5 minutes remain in the session officially. Looks to be only 3 drivers left to take time that are attempted thus far. Kevin Blue on vacation. He's not at his rig, so he's likely not to take the start here tonight. Andrew Locke in the session, hasn't turned a lap. James Vance has. He's 8th in the LMP2 category. Back to another familiar name, number 18 machine of Kyle Surratt. It says it's the 18, but there's no numbers on that car. Ooh, Surratt checks up before the line, either not happy with the lap. Not really sure there, but he comes to a stop just past start finish. Flanagan's still on the racetrack. Good Italian name.
It is. It's proper. I like it.
We are in Monza after all. So Flanagan's best lap, a minute 31.46. Don't know if he's tracking to that or not. Through the parabolica right now. We'll see what he ends up with. Oh, big wiggle. Manages to keep it underneath him. And that's going to do it.
That's the difference right there. Something so quick and so small makes the ultimate difference in a lap like that.
We got Jill Crouch in the stream chat. Finally, Jill saying hello, cheering on Terry. Again, I get this stupid emoji thing that blocks half the chat. I think she says watching from California. I'm not sure. Well, with that, we're going to jump out, get a break out of the way. Again, a few minutes remain in the session. Everyone seemingly has completed their laps, so we will be back with our starting grid after this.
I met Marcos Garza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Monza, we're going to take a look at our starting grid for round number 1 of the PFR SimSport Sports Car Championship. On the pole position with a lap time of 1 minute, 28.986 seconds, it's Terry Crouch, the number 59. Outside front row, teammate Flo Doms. Row number 2, Kyle Surratt. Fourth starting position, Oleg Vorotnyk, and then Ryan Flanagan starting 5th. Zach?
6th place, we got Sean Roberts. 7th place, Chris Generali. I knew I was going to butcher that one. Then James Vance, James Bomar, 2, Gabrielle Crozier, Brandon Domain, Chris Goins in 12th place. 13th place, we got Andy Spicer. 14th place, Kyle Moyer.
15th starter James Kolobali, Andrew Locke starting 16th, and Kevin Blue rounding out the field in LMP2. On the pole position in GT, it's Corey Maxim in the Mercedes. Rob Campbell's going to start 19th. 20th goes to Kevin Burrows. 21st starter Dave Seats. 22nd Josh Heggie. 23rd Nick Matthews. 24th Brian Zinn. Zach?
25th, we got Mike Hamlin, then Timothy Ponzi, Rob Henry, Mike Piazza, Nicholas Batista, Dalton Powell, Old Joe Tucker, Jesse Redding, the vice president himself, Drew Pearl, Bradley Wilson, and then rounding out the field is Mr. Garcia.
Rene Garcia starting 35th, and Bradley Wilson, the G unit, cannot forget the number 51, starting 34th. Your starting grid here from Monza as we get ready to get rolling. Pace car just pulls away. We're on a shortened pace lap, so we had to knock that one out here in a hurry.
Definitely a lot of cars, Steve. It's going to be great.
Certainly looking forward to it. Well, Zach, race 1 of the season. Who's your pick to win it?
Oh, man, it's hard to bet against Terry Crouch. I got to go with Terry on this one.
I'm going to go with Oleg. Oleg Vorotnyk. Trying.
What do you think for GT3?
Just me, the dumb American, trying to say the Russian last names.
That's how I feel, too.
It's probably not even Russian. Watch me screw that one up, too.
Yeah, good. I think I'm going to take Dave Seats for GT3, Steve.
Dave Seats for GT? Oh, I didn't even think about GT. I'm going to go Corey Maxim.
I like it.
The field working the exit of the Parabolica just now.
Green flag.
Green flag. We're back. We're racing. LMP2 up to speed. Wide open down the main straightaway. Clean start for the prototypes. GT also underway. Maxim out with an early lead. Good jump for the Mercedes. Still wide open throttle are these LMP2 category. 2 cars, big time wreck in the back of the back of the pack. I think that was in possibly turn 2. Hard to say. We'll have to go back and look at it, but big time impact for at least 2 drivers. Kyle Surratt, Rob Henley, possibly Joe Tucker as well. We'll have to get a look at it here in just a moment. Terry Crouch continues to lead through Ascari. Somebody else going off there, the exit of Ascari as well. That might have been Drew Prowl. No, that's the GT machine. Well, let's go back and look at that wreck initially. This is at the start. I think it might have been Kyle Surratt. There it is, the purple machine to the inside. Oh, just oversteers in that corner. That's an interesting place to have that happen. Not really running a whole lot of downforce on that car. Oh, and he comes back in front of traffic.
Wow.
Big time impact. That's the 23. I don't know if that's Andrew Locke.
Oh, this is going to be a surprise for GT3 here, too.
That's Andrew Locke. Yeah, that's Kyle Surratt, Andrew Locke. Big time wreck. GT cars all over the place.
Yeah, they had another accident back there too, Steve.
Oh, man. And then Locke gets nailed by the Mercedes again. Yeah, that chicane was a really bad idea. Oh, wait a minute.
We're not done. Yeah, good point.
Sorry, Kevin. But back at the action. Big time wrecks there. Let's see what else happened. This is James Vance having an issue as well. LMP2. Same set of corners, cold tires. Oh. A little bit of contact. He's got the right sides in the grass. Oh, yeah. He just trying to save it. Locks up the rears. They both spin out here in the chicane. It's effectively turns 2 and 3.
Oh, you touched that grass under braking, so there's no getting back to it.
Made a big difference in this field right off the bat. A couple of drivers, very fast drivers, Andrew Locke being one of them, out of this one very early. I think he's in pit lane, getting repairs done already.
Boy, look how busy pit road is, Steve.
Interesting that he's on jacks, putting tires on the thing. Frustration, maybe forgetting to turn the button off, but not a good way to start the season. Ryan Flanagan, he's coming down pit lane as well. Yes, he is. Some damage on that machine. Earns a fast repair early. Again, a 1 hour race distance here. We're only 3 minutes in. We had, I want to say, 10, 12 cars in total involved in that first incident. Effectively turn 1 because we're skipping the chicane.
You can tell how spread out this field is.
Back out front, Terry Crouch leads over teammate Flo Doms. Corey Maxim still maintaining the top spot over the Ferrari of Rob Campbell. Jesse Redding running in the 021, back in the 24th position, also in a Mercedes. It seems like this season to last season has been a big switch in manufacturers. Everybody was real strong on the BMW last season. Now it seems to switched over back to the Mercedes. Remember the Mercedes when it first came out? Relatively recent update to this Mercedes that was very, very popular then. Then the BMW got popular all over again after some BOP adjustments at Daytona. Now it seems that it's gone back to the Mercedes.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Mike Piazza, sticking it out with that Audi, the one and only.
New paint scheme on that Audi this week. Mike with Time Slice Motorsports. Looks like Kyle Surratt trying to make a pass here. This is for position. Again, Surratt involved in that first lap incident. We were just watching Jesse Redding. Looks like he's had an issue on the racetrack as well. Likely under braking. Also in the chicane, turns 2 and 3.
Broadcaster's curse.
Well, we weren't on him when it happened. We had left, so we're going to put that one squarely on his shoulders. Back in the Lesmo 1. Oh, goes wide into the gravel. Those tires are not clean after that off track. Back up front, really the closest battle on the racetrack is Corey Maxim and Rob Campbell. This is first and second in GT3. right on board with Corey Maxim, looking back to the Ferrari of Rob Campbell.
Difference in pace there.
That's what's nice about that Mercedes, though. If you botch a corner, usually the power that V8 has is enough to drag it back out of the straightaway. You don't lose too much ground. Even now, we watch that Ferrari getting smaller and smaller, but under the braking zone, totally different scenario. That's right in the wheelhouse of the Ferrari. I don't know how I'd feel with a guy behind me from a race team called Lunatic Racing. If I'm Corey Maxim, I want to get away.
Yeah, I'm turning that relative off immediately.
Coming up on Piazza, the Audi going a lap down here. I don't know if Mike got a piece of that first lap crash too, I would assume, given that we're only 9 minutes in. It's not giving the leaders a whole lot of room there. Already went down the lap with Maxim going by. Another car off in the gravel. It might have been Rob Henry. Indeed it was, the Mercedes of Rob Henry. Shocking, another Mercedes. Now, not to call out Kevin Blue here, because we all make mistakes, but there was supposed to be a handful of Porsches in this one. Of course, iRacing just recently bringing out the newest version of the GT3 992 Porsche. Unfortunately, did not get added to the session. We had a little technical difficulty last minute, and it didn't get put in. So we're curious to see which of those drivers that were going to run it this week take the opportunity to get into it next week out at Nürburgring.
Yeah, I forget what he said. What did he say? Like 2 or 3 drivers were looking to drive it?
Yeah, I think it was at least 2, maybe 3. Which everybody was all good-spirited about it. It is what it is. Back out front, Terry Crouch enjoying almost a full second advantage over teammate Flo Dams. It's, well, now under half a second. I don't know if Terry just checked up a ton because of the GT car in front of him, but it was a full second into the braking zone, and Dams is right there now, less than 0.2 of a second off the back bumper. Making a look. Possibly going to try for the lead in the Parabolica. No, he checks up. Really surprising to see how much yaw these prototypes have in the middle of the Parabolica there. It's almost like watching a stock car around a short track.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing, Steve. It's incredible that you can drive these things like that.
Kevin Blue says, "Call me out, homie. I deserve it." No, you honestly don't. You put a lot of work and effort into this. We're talking about Kevin Blue putting this whole season and many others road racing centric seasons together. It's a lot of work. It's time consuming. I'm doing it right now with the No Bull Can-Am series, and that's just one small short season, and it's a lot of time and effort you got to put into it. So mistakes happen. It is what it is.
I give you a lot of credit, Kevin. I could never put anything together like this. I mean, that's a ton of work. Gotta give you props, man. This is awesome.
Battle for the lead here, the overall. Terry Crouch over teammate Flo Dams. I don't anticipate a whole lot of over-aggression out of the 10. Race 1, of course. Plus, it's a teammate in front of him, unless he's got a hellacious run out of the corner. I don't see him making too much of a dive bomb on Terry Crouch, especially with some of this lap traffic already coming into play, only 11.5 minutes in. Again, going back to that first lap, that was a lot of it. It was that big crash. Drivers able to go down to the pits and get a fast repair and get back in this, but certainly losing a ton of track position. You see it on the track map on the right of your screen. We got cars all over this course.
It's almost kind of like a benefit too, Steve. I mean, with the field spread out like they are, they're not going to catch kind of like clusters of cars. You know, it might be like 1 or 2 at a time, so it'll be definitely easier to navigate.
Yeah, but eventually those GT cars are going to find each other. It's just inevitable.
When they find each other, they stay together.
Still waiting for these guys to hit the brakes for that chicane. I'm just so used to seeing it used. Oh, Doms gets in the grass. A little bit of contact with the Ferrari. Does the Ferrari go in the grass? I don't even know. Yes, he does.
Good save, though. That was a tough spot.
Trying to catch who that was. Was it Bradley Wilson? There it is. The G unit himself. Oh, he's got dirt on the tires. Let's watch it again here. Doms gets down into the grass here, into corner entry, slides up the track, a little tiny bit of contact, but it's enough to put the left rear in the grass. Honestly, Wilson does a masterful job driving this thing.
Look how sideways that car got.
Unbelievable.
Underpowered.
Yeah,
He's
underpowered.
going in.
And even through the grass, that's the slick spot. You get it into the gravel, it doesn't do much of anything but just continue on. But in the grass there, you can really lose the back end of the car.
Nicely done.
Chris Goins in the pit lane already here, 13 minutes in. I don't know if this is a planned stop. Goins with the agentdotson.com livery on this LMP2. It's been in there a while.
He just recently broke the curse with the Eric Dotson State Farm sponsor. He finally got his win last night in the NTRL Next Gen Series, so congrats to him.
Definitely picking up a win out in that series. He's been trying to do it, get the monkey off his back. That paint scheme has seemingly been bad luck to him, but it's coming around. Another battle for the lead. Dom's looking to the inside. Uses the Mercedes as a pick, almost gets into him. Doms puts almost a half second on Crouch right then and there. I don't know if that was more because of the pick from the Mercedes, but he timed it perfectly. And that was after that contact with the GT car into turn one. Dave Seats the next one to go down a lap here. Doms to the inside, through Ascari.
Terry's going to have a good run here. Is he going to peak? Yes, he is.
Another switch for position. Dom's got held up by Dave Seats there just slightly, just enough. Terry Crouch should take advantage, use the slipstream just a bit. Crouch back P1 through the parabolica. Another run for Doms out of the corner, pulling a slipstream off the BMW. Does he have room?
Squeezes him.
And this is where we would expect to see hard braking for the chicane, but it's not going to happen. They're going to be wide ass open all the way through turn one.
Luckily, no Mercedes there this time, or no Ferrari rather this time.
Catching another LMP2 though. These guys are getting after it, putting on a show for the fans.
I hope we get another 45 minutes of just this.
Honestly, Zach, that first lap crash, I think it's the best recipe so far because it has spread this field out so considerably, but also very early on, that Crouch wasn't able to really put a gap on the 10. So Dom stays in the slipstream, both drivers having to negotiate slower traffic. Kevin Blue says it in the stream chat. This is wild. It certainly is. Meanwhile, Crouch and Doms have put almost 9 full seconds plus on third place Oleg Vorotniak. Scary thing is these guys both are amazing on pit strategy as well. So not only do they have the pace, Doms has got the wiper blades going. .192 miles an hour through turn one. Unbelievable.
Just incredible, isn't it?
All the way down to 62 miles an hour Through 1 and 2. Oh, big wiggle from Terry Crouch. Dom gets into him, sends the 59 into the fence. Teammate on teammate hate. Not good.
Uh-oh.
Terry Crouch with a magnetic rear spoiler, but he's got to go back to pit lane. He's going to have to tow.
Oh, you hate to see that.
A small mistake from Terry Crouch turned into a massive mistake as Flo Doms cannot check up soon enough. He was right there in attack mode. Crouch got off the racetrack, and the 10 just makes contact. Minimal damage on the 10 machine, but this is opening the door for Oleg Vorotniak. I don't know if Flo's going to have to pit for repairs or if he can manage this until his scheduled stop.
Yeah, we're going to have to see what the 10 car's lap times look like here the next 2 or 3 laps to see if he keeps that same pace or if that damage is really hurting him. But either way, he should be able to come in here pretty soon just out of strategy and use that fast repair and get back out there.
Well, let's watch the replay here, see what happened with Terry Crouch with his teammate. This is, again, 2 and 3 in the chicane. Little overcorrection there and just gets drilled in the back by the 10. Again, the teammate of Flo Doms. Flo goes to the inside, goes around. I'd be curious how much left front damage there is on his machine.
And look at that. The wall just grabbed Terry here and say, not today.
Yeah, he got stuck in there. Big time net code there. It wasn't really stuck. You could see daylight between the car and the wall, but not much you can do there. Let's see if we get a better look at it from the blimp. See the correction. Terry gets slides the rear end. Good job gathering it back up, but Doms is full throttle on exit. Had a good exit, but there you go. Just kind of punts the 59. So much for not being aggressive, I guess. There's that magnetic spoiler again.
Boy, mind of its own, doesn't it?
Flo in the pit lane. He had a meatball flag. He had to get the repairs done. So now Oleg Vorotniak, my pick, in case anyone's keeping track at home, takes the top spot.
I don't know how these picks always seem to work out like that, Steve. This is just incredible. I'm starting to, I don't know. It's getting crazy.
Experience. All
You're
right,
right.
so Oleg Vorotniak, we were talking about it being a very Russian name, and it very well may be the case, but he does have Pennsylvania listed as his home.
So he's almost a neighbor to us. Look at that.
Be willing to bet he's singing about a pizza pie behind the wheel of that LMP2 here at Monza right now with the lead in hand with an 11.3 second advantage over Chris Generelli. Terry Crouch, he says, "Don't tell me Millet picked me." All right, we won't tell you. We won't tell you. But he might have.
Might have, Terry.
Talk about a broadcaster's curse.
Oh, man.
Well, you can't really necessarily say that because I picked Oleg here, and he's leading the race. Granted, we still got 40 minutes to go, but here's the thing. In about 19 minutes, they put 9 seconds on Oleg. Right now, Doms is 41 seconds back. Terry had to tow, so I don't know if he's got a shot, but
It says 2 laps down for Terry at the current moment.
yeah, Terry's down a couple of laps. Flo's still on the lead lap, 41 seconds back. I don't know if he just got the repairs and headed back out, or if he took the time to get fuel and tires, or just fuel. I don't know if he's even going to take tires. Being a 1-hour race, it was only 24.5-second stop. But if Oleg can go mistake-free from here to the checkered flag, I don't think anyone's going to be able to touch him. And Flo being 40 seconds back, he's going to have to run some crazy laps, but Oleg's best is a minute 30:37. Dom's best was a minute 29:84. So even if they both run their best lap every lap from here to the finish, there's just not enough time. You know, Kevin Blue said it in the Discord chat earlier this week. This is a sprint. This is not an endurance race. 60 minutes is all you have to get it done. They got to make a couple of pit stops. They don't want to make it about fuel strategy. It's just get in, get your service, get back out, and full throttle the rest of the way. They want guys really pushing hard for position all race long, and it seems to be that's the case as we saw the two teammates TLDR Simsport teammates Terry Crouch and Flo Doms coming together through 2 and 3. Both drivers with damage. Andrew Vandelin driving into each other, a bold strategy. And here's the reality. Those guys were honestly just having a good time out there racing each other. They know each other. They race together. It's nothing new for them. But just one little mistake turned into a big-time problem for both team drivers. Oh, okay, perfect. All right, I was hoping someone was going to clarify that. That was my extra thing. So, Class Inc. in the stream chat says, Oleg Vorotnik, not Russian name, he's Ukrainian. Okay, same region, more or less, but good to know. Oleg out of the Ukraine, making his home in Pennsylvania and leading this race here at Monza. Oh, get the right signs in the grass. Don't throw it away, Oleg. Pit stops underway. James Bomar. Brandon Domain. Very McLaren-esque paint scheme.
Yes, it is, absolutely.
Kyle Moyer, another familiar name. Ryan Flanagan hits pit lane. A little bit of right front damage on his machine. Curious if he'll burn the fast repair to fix that. So Terry Crouch confirms that, yeah, we were having a blast. Weren't really trying to fight, just mess around. Which is good. I mean, the guys were loose. They're having a good time, but now they got the rest of the season to try and recover from that one.
And something tells me, Steve, I think they will.
James Coulibaly running 8th overall in the 007 LMP2.
Also from Pennsylvania.
Not that you can see it real well through the trees, but that is a good looking paint scheme. I don't know what it is about it, but I like that car.
Ooh, that's tight.
Looks like a European version of Valvoline.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. He's got the Spectre stride on that with the red wheels and everything too. It's perfect.
Good looking car. Dave Seats almost making contact with that LMP2. Oh, Terry Crouch makes a good point. They do run a drop week or two in this series, so this won't hurt them too terribly bad as long as they don't have any more of them. And I guess the bright spot for TLDR Simsport is next week at the Nürburgring. They don't have any wind penalty to worry about, so they can qualify and they can start towards the front as long as they run well. Don't need to worry about a EOL at the start by any means. Silver lining, Terry, silver lining.
It's always a bright side.
Familiar name, Nick Batista in the Mercedes, running 20th overall, 9th in GT. For how long? He's got company in behind. It's actually the 15th place machine of Brian Zinn. I think Brian was involved in that first wreck. Kevin Blue confirming 2 drop weeks this season. I will say it's nice to see the actual league windshield banners. Not everybody's got it, but some of them do.
It definitely gives it that uniform look, doesn't it? It really just helps.
The uniformity's nice, but it's also, you know, you're running a league. It's a series. Adds a little bit of realism to it. You know, it is a sim after all. So Zinn gets by Batista. Dave Seats running in P4. GT. Kevin Burrows. Interesting, Kevin Burrows, a TLDR Sim Sport driver as well, but he chose to stick with the GT class. He's sticking with that BMW. Had good success with it last season in the GT3 series that LSR put on. Kevin Blue. This is why I put Long Beach at the end of the schedule.
Excellent.
Well, there's a whole backstory to that, and those of you that have been watching the LSR Sports Car Series and GT3 and so on and so forth, they may remember that the first race of the season was Long Beach, and I think that was for the Sports Car Series Season 1. In lap 1, there was a big wad up on that first couple of corners there, and they ended up throwing the yellow flag. It was a big to-do. Lessons were learned. Let's just say that.
People don't forget.
Kevin Blue in the green room. Let's see if he wants to pop up here into the broadcast booth with us. Kevin Blue, we're doing an awful lot of chatting through the stream here. I figure I might as well pull you into the booth.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Well, while we got you here, we're just about halfway. We're going to run this one green to checker without any kind of commercial breaks, with the exception of post-race. But you got the mic, my friend. Tell us about what you have in store for us this season. Of course, this is round number 1 of your new PFR Sim Sports Series. Walk us through it. What do you expect out of these guys this season?
Well, so far it's looking like carnage, but no, I think it'll get better as the year goes on. It seems like every first race, it's always a little rough. Everyone's kind of getting used to each other and trying to figure out who's fast, who's slow, what's, what they're going to do when they overtake. But I think it's just going to keep getting better and better. But yeah, it's going to be a great season, man. I'm just trying to pull up my schedule here. But yeah, next week we're going to where is it here? Yeah, Nürburgring. We're going to run the WC layout, so it's not going to be the full Nordschleife layout or anything like that. So it should be a pretty good race. Yeah,
I can't afford that camera pack.
Yeah. But yeah, after that, man, we're going to Le Mans. We had actually talked about switching Le Mans to a shorter track to kind of give it a little bit more of a multi-class feel and overtaking in this. Le Mans is a super long track, and in an hour's time, you're not going to get much multi-class action. But we ended up sticking with it. I think it'll be a pretty clean, pretty good race. But yeah, we just kind of go through the classics. We go to Spa and then Fuji, and then go back to Daytona. Everybody loves Daytona. It's a great multi-class track. And we tried to stick with most of the WEC and IMSA tracks. So we're going to Road Atlanta, Sebring, heading over to Coda, everyone's favorite. And then, of course, finishing up at Long Beach, Road America, and then we're going to do our championship race at Watkins Glen. And I think we're going to run the Glen layout without the bus stop. So it's going to be another quick one.
Run the bus stop. It's my favorite.
I know it's your favorite. You got the Glen's got a special place in your heart, Steve. I know it.
It does. And actually, Zach and I both will be there a week from Thursday. At least I'll be there a week from Thursday. Millet at some point later on. But going back to the options for maybe a smaller track instead of Le Mans, I know you already made a decision on that, but did you consider maybe Tsukuba?
Wow.
Yes.
Could you imagine having 40 multi-class cars on that track?
Never.
That'd be insane.
Part of me thinks it would be a disaster, but the other part of me thinks it would be incredible.
Actually, the track I really wanted to do would be, and I know you guys just raced there in the Can-Am series, was to run the Homestead Miami road course. Not the version you guys ran, but the regular road course that the IMSA series and iRacing goes to every once in a while. That's always been a great track for me. It's always been a fun track, and it seems like it's a great multi-class track, especially these IMSA style series.
In all honesty, it's funny that you even say that, because I don't know if it was before or after, but nonetheless, I jumped into the new Cadillac LMDH, and I turned some laps on the B layout at Homestead just to see the differential between the late model stock and that car, and it was about a 25-second differential. But it's doable. But I will say that kink down into turn 1 in the Cadillac, is absolutely insane.
A little scary.
It's beyond scary. Like, you're like, there's no way that I'm going slow enough to make this next left-hander, but somehow you make it through. You can really stand on the brakes in those cars, and I'm really looking forward to possibly seeing those cars in the PFR Sports Car Series in the future, maybe next season.
Yeah, definitely next season we're gonna have the GTP cars or LMDH cars, whatever you want to call them. I kind of wanted to switch it to that, but everyone had already committed to the LMP2, so we stuck with that this season. But we are going to run our endurance series coming up. I think that's going to start in October, I believe. But that's going to be an actual endurance series with teams, and we're going to run GTP, LMP2, and GT3 in that.
So with that, I mean, we talked about the cars that we're going to involve in it, but talk about the schedule. Is this going to be an every week thing, or once in a while? I know the endurance races tend to have some time in between. What's the schedule plan look like?
Yeah. So what we're going to do is run a race every 4 weeks. So they are going to be team races. So we're trying to make it to where if everyone's got a weekly schedule they do on iRacing pretty much if they take it seriously. So basically we're going to run it once every 4 weeks to give everyone time to prepare for it and get everyone ready for it, because it's hard to get a team together or something like that. So but we're not running full endurance races. We're just running like 2.4-hour races, 120-minute races, stuff like that to make it a little bit easier. So I was going to require 2-person teams for these things, but I think they're short enough where if somebody wants to run them solo, then they're more than welcome to run it solo. But it's definitely going to be a team event if they would like that. But as far as schedule is concerned, yeah, it's going to start October 7th. We're going to run 2.4 hours at Daytona. And everything's going to start at 3 in the afternoon Eastern time or 7 p.m. GMT to try and get some of the European guys in the series.
Cool.
Yeah. So we're gonna run these on Saturdays, and I believe you're gonna broadcast them, Steve. So it's gonna be a good series for us.
Certainly looking forward to it. Meanwhile, while we're chatting here, it looks like Ryan Flanagan has had a problem out on the course. It seems that he is out of this. Let's see if we can catch what happened here with the 3. Go full speed here. Just down into that first chicane second chicane depending on the layout. Oh, just locks him up.
Yeah, just got a lot of that curb there, it looks like.
He just toes out. I don't think he had too much impact, too much damage, but maybe frustration kicking in.
Yeah, there's been a lot of frustration in this race from what I can tell. I picked this track, and I picked, getting rid of that first chicane, because that first chicane just kills a lot of people in a lot of these races. You never know what's going to happen. So I figured, Monza being a lot of straightaways and just a few, a couple chicanes and some high-speed corners would be pretty safe. But, yeah, everyone seems to be, well, not everyone, but a lot of people seem to be having trouble with it. So hopefully they'll stick around and realize, we do have drop weeks in this league. So, just scratch this race off and just pretend like you're starting over next week, and Nürburgring should be a pretty good time.
It's all you can really do, kind of get your feet underneath you here and see what these cars feel like. I think that first lap incident, though, we were able to skip the chicane, a much slower speed corner. We had a very high speed, high commitment corner in turn 1, very long sweeping turn, but on cold tires and on a low downforce setup, which these cars are probably pretty close to that for maximum straightaway speed. It's kind of what we saw, caught a couple of guys out, and then of course the GTs end up coming in and plowing into those guys after the fact. We probably had 10, 12 cars involved in that overall.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm going to let everyone know is, if you do see the caution flag pop up on your screen, man, really try to make an effort to be careful, because I know I did see that replay of that wreck. It looked like a bunch of people just came barreling through there and tried to make it work without slowing down, and that's not what we want to see in this series. But it's crazy. Multi-class racing is crazy. If you're not used to it, I know some of these guys are kind of new to it and don't necessarily do it all the time. And we do have some guys who are, literal professionals at it. So, everyone's going to figure it out. That's kind of our deal. We pretty much let everyone race and let everyone figure it out. And towards the end of the season, we usually have a pretty solid core group of guys who are used to racing around each other, and turns out to be a pretty good fight.
Going back to the incident with Ryan Flanagan, he has updated us in the stream chat. We'll look at it one more time, but I guess the impact that he had, though it was pretty slight, unfortunately, he lost the engine on that. So let's see again how it looks here. Chopper cam headed down into, I guess you could call it the second chicane. Turns 2 and 3 now without that first chicane. Gets a lot of curb on the left turn in, and it just comes around, locks it up. But just a
he
little
didn't hit
kiss.
too hard.
No. Now, he did have some damage previously, I think, from an earlier incident, which certainly didn't help. Sometimes that's all it takes is just a little extra bump.
You know, I was kind of wondering about that last iRacing update, because in our last recruitment race at Spa, I believe Andrew Locke was behind me going up a Rouge, and he just barely touched the rear end of my car, and it gave me a meatball. So I was kind of surprised about that. So maybe something in this update has made these LMP2 cars a little more fragile, but I have to do a little research on that.
Well, taking a look here at the standings while we've been chatting away, Flo Doms has retaken the top spot. Now, remember, he was like 40 seconds behind Oleg at one point. Now, let's go back here. I think it's lap 19. About 6 laps ago, Oleg had an off-track incident. Might be minimal, might not be. Let's take a look at it again from the chopper. This is through, I think, Lesmo 1. Just goes wide.
It looks like he's got pretty good control of it there. Now I wonder if Flo had to go in the pits after that wreck. I wonder if he got his pit service done early, and Oleg had to go in the pits, and he kind of caught up to him.
Yeah, they might be off cycle here. That very well could be the case. But Flo's got a 29-second advantage. I still think he's probably going to have to make one more stop, though, given that... So when did Oleg come in? His stop was at lap 16, so we're 10 laps ago.
Yeah, Flo might end up having to take an extra stop. Yeah, we were going to run a 75%. I heard you talk about it earlier. We were going to run 75% fuel in these cars, but after hearing some of the guys testing, it seemed like a fuel save one-stop strategy might be involved in some of these tracks. So I just went ahead and dropped it 5% to make sure we didn't have that.
Now, what do you think, Kevin? Do you think you could come in and gas up real light and make it back out in 30 seconds or less?
You know, this isn't that long of a pit lane, I don't believe. It's a pretty short entrance there, so he might be able to do that if he plays the cars right.
Flo's pit stop came at lap 12. Now, in your experience, Kevin, with this particular track, I know you're not necessarily racing it here tonight, but can these guys make it that full hour on one set of tires?
It really depends on the driver. I mean, I know a lot of the guys, they tend to, in these 1 hour races, that tends to be the right strategy to keep one set of tires on there. But, you know, it just depends on how much fuel they have to put in the car and how long it's going to take to change the tires. I think, you know, if Flo's got a big gap there, I mean, it wouldn't hurt him to put new tires on there. But I think most of the time they're probably going to end up keeping the same set of tires on.
GT traffic in pit lane here. Leader Corey Maxim, Rob Campbell, both in pit lane at the same time, I believe. No, Campbell. No, yeah, they're still in the pit lane here. Maxim down and away. 18-second stop. I don't think he took tires at all. It's fuel only for the Mercedes.
Yeah, I think you're going to see that a lot. That's one thing about having the two stops. We used to run 70% fuel and only have one stop. You know, having that much fuel load makes these cars a little bit rougher to drive. So everyone liked the 40% fuel load and two stops, and it gives you a little bit of strategy to play with too. It made I believe it made the racing a little bit better last season once we switched to that.
Yeah, I completely agree. The pit stops that were factored in, though not necessarily strategic in identity, it was still fun to see it. Couple of stops, guys getting in and out of pit lane as fast as possible. There's time to be gained and time to be lost. in and out of the pit. So even if it's not necessarily, oh, it's a fuel strategy or it's a tire strategy, you still got to get in and out of pit lane quickly without losing a lot of track position. And some of these guys excel at it, some of them don't.
Now this is a situation here that these LMP cars get in all the time, especially when you have a lot of GT3 traffic. These guys are fighting for position, I believe, and the LMP2's just kind of stuck behind them, waiting on them to finish, and that's one way that you can lose a lot of time in an LMP2 car, and that's what makes these multi-class races so fun, honestly. Anything could happen.
Another thing too, Corey Maxim exiting pit lane just a couple of feet ahead of Rob Campbell. We talk about the gain that you can make getting out of pit lane and into pit lane. He's put 5 seconds on Campbell just since he left pit lane, and he's just now back into the Parabolica here to complete 1 lap since leaving the pits. So he maximized that, coming out of pit lane, gained as much track position as possible, and also kind of dumped Campbell into some poor track position as far as lap traffic was concerned. Certainly did not help his cause. He's still kind of mired back in it. They're in behind him now, but now the class leader of Flo Doms is going to come through into the picture as well.
Yeah, shame that first chicane's not there. They could have had a Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton incident there in the first chicane. Ended up on top of each other in the gravel.
You know, all kidding aside, though, you got to thank the Halo for that incident, because that could have been really bad about 5 years ago.
Oh my gosh, there's been so many incidents in the last couple of years that Halo's really saved their lives.
Terry Crouch in the stream chat says, Corey's a boss. He doesn't use tires.
Yeah, I remember last year, I think it was, what's the guy's name? The Chinese driver,
Zhou Guan Yu.
Zhou Guan Yu. Yeah, he, first lap at Silverstone, right after the start, ended up on his lid and flipped over and hit the fence there. If he hadn't had his, Halo there, it might have been really bad for him.
Even with the Halo, that one was scary.
Yeah. When they don't show it on TV for 30 minutes, then it's a bad one.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because at that point they had communication with the driver in some form or fashion to say, hey, are you hurt? No, I'm good, I'm just stuck.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a crazy one. I just remember seeing George Russell jump out of his car and see if he could go help him, when he probably could have got his car back going, but he was more interested to see if Randy was hurt or not, trying to help him.
It's interesting because it's something you don't see very often, as you see Flo Doms in pit lane here. Probably his last scheduled stop of the afternoon, as we're 15 minutes away from a checkered flag. But there was I think it was a midget crash at Knoxville recently. Car burst into flames immediately. Driver was unconscious. And I think 2 or 3 other drivers were out of the race car trying to get him out of that before safety crews were able to arrive. Lucky enough, he was out of the car, released from the hospital that night. Minor burns and minor injuries, but very lucky situation. But going back to that George Russell getting out of the race car to help, it's just something that you don't see that often anymore, and it's just very interesting that you got that incident and then this one as well at Knoxville.
Yeah, and of course you remember 3 years ago when Romain Grosjean, got stuck under the barrier at Bahrain, and literally crawled out of a inferno to get out of that car.
But even with that, never mind the fire. I mean, he went through the rail. Talk about the Halo once again. Without the Halo, he's not here to get out of that fire.
Yeah, now without that Halo, he's not running Indy cars right now.
That was still one of the scariest wrecks I think I've ever seen on TV live.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Well,
I'm glad we run iRacing, guys. That's all I got to say.
Right?
Yeah, worst that's going to happen is if you got a good DD, you might break a thumb, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Well, back to the action. Flo Doms had to make a pit stop. Oleg is now taking over the top spot. If he does not need to make another pit stop, he might be in good shape. Though, the deficit back to Flo, not insurmountable. Remember, we talked about it early in the race. 19 to 20 minutes in, himself and Terry Crouch had about a 9-second lead over Oleg, and it's now 6.5 seconds back. The difference is no clean air really for Flo Doms. He has to cut through some lap traffic, some GT cars, plus the second place running Chris Generelli. He's got time to catch him, and honestly, I really hope Oleg doesn't need to pit, because that's going to be the fun one to watch. If he does get there in time in the closing laps, closing stages of round 1 here at Monza, we could have a really good race on our hands at the end of this thing.
You know, it just seems like every season it gets better and better. We keep getting these fast guys in here, and you know, there for a little while, it's just a couple guys who kept winning every week. But yeah, it seems like every season we get more and more fast guys in here, better competition, and I'm really impressed with these guys. And that's the thing, you never know who's going to be fast. When I sign these guys up for this league, I don't do a whole lot of research on them. You know, if they want to get in the league, they pay the money and they get in the league, and we'll see how it all shakes down on the first race. It's looking pretty good tonight.
Well, so far so good, and you're absolutely right. Every season does get a little bit better. And again, even last season, we changed the setups a little bit, the fuel planning. The races got better almost immediately, so that has a lot to do with it too. And again, nice work on your part. I know it's a lot of work behind the scenes, and you're also racing in it, so there's that caveat as well. But Kevin, again, thanks for having us back here to broadcast this, but we're going to let you go so me and Zach can finish broadcasting this thing. About 11 and a half minutes remain. Kevin, thanks for joining us, and have a good vacation, man.
Absolutely, man. We'll see you next week at Nürburgring.
Thanks for talking to us, Kevin. It's Kevin Blue, the league admin here in the PFR Sports Car Championship. Race number 1 here at Monza, starting to tick down. We got about 11 minutes remaining. Oleg Vorotnik, your race leader. Chris Gennarelli is second. Flo Doms, after a pit stop, is in third. But for how long? He's really quickly closed in the gap on Gennarelli. He wants to make short work of this so he can try and run down P1. Side by side, under braking into the chicane. Dom's up into P2.
Boy, you made that look easy, Steve.
I assure you it wasn't. You know as well as anybody, that is not an easy move to pull off, especially there in the chicane.
Oh, man, it's tight in there. It's tough everywhere. Look at those lap time differences, though. Flo is flying.
He's about a half second a lap quicker. We've got just about 10 minutes remaining. Oleg's got to be perfect. Aerial shots from the blimp through the parabolica. Oleg might be coming to pit lane. Is that correct?
Oh,
he is. Oh, man. So Flo's going to go back to the point. Gennarelli, P2. Oleg still in third as he enters pit lane for his final stop of the race. Fuel only for Oleg. 12.7 seconds, a quick stop. This is not going to have enough time to get back up. Plenty of a lead over fourth place Sean Roberts.
Just goes to show you, Steve, the timing of the meatball that Flo had there actually worked out pretty well.
Yeah, he was able to stop, and he must have taken fuel at that point just to make sure he had enough to get through. Dom's cutting through some GT traffic. That could still play a part as this one ticks down. Just under 9 minutes remain. Back and check on GT once again. Corey Maxim still dominating the category with the race lead over Rob Campbell. It's 3.1 seconds back to the Ferrari. Dave Seitz, who has been very fast through all these seasons with the previous LSR Sports Car Series, currently running in the third spot. Dave Seats battling for position with Kevin Burrows, and there's some contact. Burrows just slams on the brakes and lets him go. I don't know. Kevin Burrows, that's some seriously good sportsmanship, but you're a better man than I. Whether that was your fault or not, I think I would have stood on the gas and said, sorry, but I'm gone.
Yeah, that's a classy move by Kevin, man. I got to give him a lot of credit on that. That's a tough time to stop and wait.
I mean, I don't know. That's kind of what I would expect from these TLDR SimSport drivers, but the same token, I don't know. I mean, I kind of did the same thing with Mark Thomas. I waited a little bit, but then I still left.
You left fast.
Yeah. So let's go back and take a look at that one.
That's what we were talking about a minute ago, Steve. It's just so tight coming into these corners.
Yeah, Kevin made the move. Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I would chalk that up to a racing deal, but Kevin was just barely there.
It's just a good thing nobody was right behind these guys.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that would have been a different story, too. If I'm Kevin Burrows and I got traffic behind me, you kind of have to go at that point.
Right.
But no longer a battle. Dave Seats has put some distance on Kevin Burrows. Flo Dom still your race leader in the overall, the LMP2 category. 35 seconds over Oleg Vorotnick. GT category still Corey Maxim, your pole sitter. I think he's led almost every lap, if not all of them. Terry Crouch in the stream chat. TLDR sim or sweep? Maybe. Kevin Blue talking about Dave Seats and Kevin Burrows. He entered the vortex of danger. Which is 100% true. He was there, and that's how those things happen, but it was so close. You kind of got to wonder, man, maybe I'm clear, maybe I'm not, because they really got on the brakes at about the same time. Kevin did have a run into that corner, but only gained a couple of feet maybe on entry, and that was that. Five minutes, all that remains here from Monza. As a courtesy to PFR SimSport, ran this one green to checker without any breaks, any commercials. Don't worry, we'll get to him afterwards. It's been a good one, though.
Yeah, it's been action from start to finish.
Especially on the start, a lot of chaos. LMP2 and GT3 drivers all in one big wreck. You thought with the staggered start that they had, there would have been enough distance between those groups that it wouldn't have been a problem, but GT cars still barreled right in there. So Maxim with a 3.5 second advantage. As long as he remains mistake-free, I think he'll be okay over Rob Campbell in second in the Ferrari. Third place, Dave Seats still. After that contact, he just lost a lot of track position. Kevin Burrows about 1.25 seconds back. I don't know, this thing might not be over. That battle might shape back up. We'll see. We'll make sure we check on that before this one's out. Rene Garcia might have had an issue just a moment ago in his Mercedes. Let's take a look at it. Feeling an LMP2 is going to come into play.
Oh, yeah.
Oh! P-Car just locks up the rears. Little incidental contact, nothing too serious.
That was actually a heck of a save by that LMP2. I mean, he could have went barreling through there and taken them both out pretty easily.
He had a little extra grip when he got into the GT car.
8 years turned better than 4, right?
Dave Seats still running in third. He's got 1.9 over Kevin Burrows. Seems that the third sector of the lap seems to be the best for David Seats. board with Dave Seats running P3 and GT. It's really interesting to see the handling characteristics of these GT cars when matched against an LMP2. More so in the very, very slow corners when the downforce for the LMP2 just does not play a part. They're almost equal. Of course, the high-speed corners, it's not even a comparison.
Yeah, then the downforce basically doubles or even triples.
Minute and a half remaining from Monza. Overall leader Flo Dom still well in command, still stretching out the advantage over Oleg Vorotnick. It's 42.6 seconds. Back to the second place machine. Chris Gennarelli in third, 45 seconds back. Corey Maxim still your race leader in GT, 2.7 seconds back to Rob Campbell. That deficit's shrinking as well. Again, it just might be Corey taking care of the race car here for the last minute or so of the race. Still needs to see a white flag here as Doms is getting close as well through the Parabolica, passing some lap traffic. I think that might have been not Kyle Surratt, Kyle Moyer. Last lap for LMP2, disposing of Mike Piazza. It's been an hour. I'm still not used to them skipping that chicane.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever get used to it.
Yeah, Doms has not given up. Probably had the right third of the right side tires in the grass just to make sure he could straighten that corner out the best he could. Flow into Ascari. Flo Doms for the final time into the Parabolica, looking for a checkered flag. Straightens it out. Guess the flagman didn't want to wave it, but the race is over. Flo Doms takes the checkered flag, wins round one of the PFR Sim Sport Sports Car Championship. Now back to GT, Corey Maxim. Deficit still shrinking between himself and the Ferrari. Another couple of laps, we might have had a different conversation, but one more corner. Mistake free for Corey Maxim. He's going to take top honors in GT.
Let's see if Barney's awake this time.
I'm going to go with probably not. Still nothing. Corey Maxim, though, takes the win. Flo's just parked it. I don't know if he's out of fuel or if he's just calling it. This is the exit of the chicane before Lesmo 1. Oh, somebody in big time trouble. Is that Drew Prail? Yes,
Might
it
be.
was.
KFC Mobile almost made
Now I'm hungry.
it.
Let's see what happened here. This is post-race, I believe.
Ooh, look at the hang time.
I think we're going to call a life flight on that one. Flo Dom still remains parked here. Corey Maxim does the same, so that's going to wrap it up. No celebrations, no burnouts. That's okay. We're going to jump out and get our only break out of the way. We'll have our winners up in the broadcast booth after this. Stay with us.
I met Marco Scarza when we were doing radiothons for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. We needed sponsors to help us raise money, and he's always the first one to jump in. I would describe Marcos and his team as upstanding, someone you can trust, and he is just a genuine guy.
Marcos has been very generous. He has a genuine concern for people. You need somebody that cares about you. And that's what Marcos is, and that's pretty much what this firm is.
The Garza Law Firm. Let us help.
Back at Monza, round one, the PFR SimSport Sports Car Championship. Flo Dom's taking the overall in the LMP2. Corey Maxim taking home top honors in GT3. Let's see if we can pull Flo up into the broadcast booth, get a word with our overall winner. Flo, it's Steve and Zach Willett in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Copy here.
Flo, congratulations, man. A crazy race. Obviously some early race issues between yourself and Terry Crouch, the teammate. He had a little problem through the chicane, and you were already hammered down on the throttle. Not enough space to check up and not make contact. Walk us through that incident before we get on to the rest of your race.
Yeah, first of all, sorry to Terry for hitting him there. I think I didn't look at him. Like, I saw him getting out of shape. I looked at my line. I wanted to take the inside after the chicane, and that's when he touched the gravel on top of getting out of shape, and yeah, I couldn't react in time.
Well, either way, Terry even said it in the stream chat. You guys were just kind of out there having a good time. It was early on in the race. No need for super aggression, but things happen sometimes. It is racing after all. You ended up having to pit, obviously, earlier than had planned, but it still seemed to work out for you. You had at one point a 40-second disadvantage. You made up that ground. I don't know if it was through pit stops or a mistake from Oleg, but nonetheless, you come out on top, man. Tell us about the rest of your race.
Yeah, after we touched, went back into the pits, got my fast repair, filled up the car, got new tires, and from then I was just focused on putting some good lap times in and not getting over the incident limit.
Well, certainly an impressive run. You put TLDR SimSport on the top step. Congratulations at that. Next week, we roll into the Nürburgring, the WEC layout. How do you feel about your chances at making it 2 in a row next week?
Quite slim, I think. If I understood correctly, I have to start from the back, so I have to work my way through the field. And I've never raced at Nürburgring yet, at least not in the LMP2.
Well, it's a very fun race course. I mean, honestly, I would almost kind of compare it to Monza with some aspects. I think Lesmo 1, Lesmo 2 have some characteristics that are very similar at Nürburgring, but a lot of high speed, a lot of heavy braking. It's going to be a fun one to watch. I think if you have the pace that you had here next week, I think you're still going to be in contention for at least the top 3. So we'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I'll try my best.
Certainly looking forward to it, Flo. Again, congratulations on the race win, the overall and the LMP2. Who do you want to shout out to before we let you go?
Definitely Terry. He pointed me in the right direction for the setup because I was using standard downforce and it was too slow on the straights. And Corey for the win.
All right, Flo. Well, thanks for talking to us, man. Certainly wish you the best of luck next week. Starting from the back.
Cheers, Steve.
Let's Flo Dom is your race winner here from Monza. Let's see if we can pull Corey up into the broadcast booth and get a word with our GT winner. Corey, it's Steve and Zach Millett in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, boys. How are you?
Corey, congratulations, man. A great run. Put it on, I think, pole position in GT. And I don't know, man, you may have led every single lap here tonight. I'll have to go back and check the record books on that. But either way, certainly the most laps led. A fun race to watch, and you kept that Mercedes out front. How'd you do it?
Oh, yeah, it was challenging, especially getting late in the race there. I didn't take tires, so it got a bit slippy at the end. And then actually fuel, which I didn't even have on the radar, was getting a bit tight, but all worked out in the end.
We watched that final pit stop. You and Rob Campbell down pit lane at about the same time. Pit stops were pretty equal as far as the time was concerned. You left within a few feet of each other, but all of a sudden you had 4.5+ seconds on him. Did he just get mired back in traffic, or did you just have a really good exit?
To be honest with you, I was surprised that he dropped off that much because in the first stint we were kind of just, nose to tail going around, and about 2/3 into the race after the second stop, I was wondering if he had fuel concerns as well as why he dropped off. But yeah, I was surprised to see him fall back. He ran a great race.
Well, either way, you take top honors here at Monza. Congratulations at that.
Appreciate it.
Round number 2 next week at Nürburgring. Some drivers unfamiliar with the race course. I don't even know if I've purchased it yet for iRacing. I've been here a couple of years and haven't had a broadcast or even a race there. But how do you feel about Nürburgring next week in your Mercedes?
It's funny you mentioned the Mercedes because I was actually going to race the Porsche tonight until I got into the session and realized it wasn't in there. So it was it was a little bit of a scramble to decide on a backup car, but just decided to jump into Merc. I've had success in that at Monza before, so jumped in through the iRacing low downforce set on it and bumped the wing up a little bit, and away we went. But yeah, Nürburgring, I'm assuming is that full? That's not just the GP. That's the full.
It's the World Endurance Challenge layout, so it's not the big track. It's not Nordschleife. We're not doing that.
Yeah, Nürburgring, track I'm familiar with as well. So yeah, looking forward to that.
So the other question is, are you going to stick with the Merc now? I'm assuming Kevin's going to give everybody the opportunity to run that Porsche if they chose to for this race. Are you going to stick with this? Or are you going to switch over?
I don't know. I have a soft spot in my heart for the Merc, but the new Porsche feels very good. So we'll see as the week progresses.
Oh, we certainly look forward to it, and congratulations once again, man. And who do you want to shout out to before we let you go?
I just want to say congrats to my TLDR teammate Flo and Kevin, who also had a P5 in GT3's Flo class winner in the LMP2s. And sorry to see what happened there between Flo and Terry. I kind of came around the corner and Terry was sideways. I didn't really get eyes on what happened, but hated to see that. But strong run from Flo as well.
Well, just to get you up to speed, Terry had a little mishap on the exit of the chicane. Had it gathered up, got it into the gravel a bit, slowed his pace, and then really nowhere for Flo to go. He ran right into him, and it is what it is. Those guys were having a good time, but a couple of drop races, no harm, no foul. That's going to move right through and like it never happened.
Yep, and Terry's strong, so I'm sure he'll bounce back. No worries.
Well, Corey, again, congratulations. Thanks for talking to us. Wish you the best of luck next week.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Zach. Appreciate it.
It's Corey Maxim, your GT3 winner. That's going to wrap it up for our interview portion of the broadcast. Let's take a look at the race results. First off, LMP2, of course, Flo Doms, your race winner. Oleg Vorotnik was second. Chris Generelli, third. Sean Roberts, P4. Good run for Sean in the 66. James Bomar was fifth. Kyle Moyer, P6. Seventh was James Colabali. Hope I'm saying that one right. Gabriel Grozier, 8th. Brandon Domain was 9th. Kyle Surratt finishes in the 10th position. 11th place finisher Chris Gones. 12th was Ryan Flanagan. 13th Terry Crouch. Andy Spicer was 14th. James Vance and Andrew Locke 15th and 16th respectively. Tough break for those guys. Kevin Blue didn't take the green. He's going to be credited with the 17th place position. Next into GT3, of course, we talked to Corey Maxim. Of course, we're all the way at the bottom. Corey Maxim, your race winner. Rob Campbell, P2. Dave Seitz was 3rd. Brian Zinn was 4th. Kevin Burrows, 5th. Bradley Wilson, the G unit, was 6th. 7th, Mike Hamlin. Jesse Redding was 8th. Renee Garcia was 9th. Joe Tucker brought it home in the 10th position. 11th went to Rob Henry. Mike Piazza, 12th. 13th, Tim Ponzi. Dalton Powell was 14th. Nick Batista, 15th. Nicholas Matthews was 16th. Drew Prell was 17th. And Josh Heggie finishes out GT3 in the 18th position. 35 laps down. Likely caught up in that first lap incident. So with that, that's going to wrap it up for us here at Monza. I'm starting to think I picked Oleg and you picked Terry, so I don't think, well, yeah, I guess that technically means I won, Zach.
Unfortunately, I think so too. The streak continues.
There's always next week. Again, join us out at the Nürburgring. That's going to be a fun one to watch. It's one of my favorite tracks. I'm surprised that I don't have it here in iRacing, but it is a very cool place. A lot of history there, not just because of Nordschleife, but just in general. It's a great circuit. Going to make for some really good action. There's a lot of good passing zones, a lot of braking zones. Makes for some good racing. Should be a good one. So with that, Zach, any last words?
Well, I don't know. I'm exhausted after watching that. That was a great race, man. Start to finish, it was action-packed, and I'm looking forward to next week, man.
Really a good way to start the season. Looking forward to more of it as the season continues. Again, tune in next week. We'll go live 8:45 Eastern Time in the United States, in case you're watching internationally. Just Google it, figure out the time frames. You'll figure it out. So join us next week, same time, HBR TV. It'll be myself and Zach Millett in the broadcast booth. Want to congratulate Flo Doms and Corey Maxim for top honors tonight. And thank you guys all for watching. Also, those of you in the stream chat, tune in. Check us out also on the website, hbrtv1.com. That's relatively new. We've got photographs that we put up there, screenshots from the races. There's also a live link so that you can find the live broadcasts there. You don't necessarily have to find it on YouTube, though it is broadcasted directly on YouTube. And if you are watching it on YouTube, hit that like button. Give us a like, a follow, a share, a subscribe. youtube.com/@HBRTV1 for all those details. Last but not least, thanks, guys. We'll see you at the next one.